What did the Facebook post say?
That bitch was tied up.
No, just too good. Great. Do you have any plans?
Hello, everybody. We are back. We're back to Gypsy Rose Day. I know we had a day off. Sorry about that. I didn't think I was going to be awake yesterday at 6 p.m. Eastern, which is 9 a.m. Aussie time. I was awake, but I probably wasn't really in any condition to do a Gypsy Rose stream because I was up from midnight through till 4 a.m. my time, doing the Becky in the Box pre-evidentiary hearing, pre-conference, whatever it's called, live stream from South Carolina. I'm not doing too badly with my southern accent. And that was super duper fun. Go back and have a look at that on my page if you want to. That was just amazing. But yeah, I was awake at 9 a.m. my time. 6 p.m. Eastern yesterday. But yeah, again, I needed to get a little bit of sleep. I tried. I couldn't, but I tried. I was a bit too wired up. But never mind, we're back. We had one day off, but we're back and we are continuing our trial coverage. And we are into Nick Godejohn's defense. And I have one special thing to say first before we do that, and that is, where is it?
Do you ejaculate?
I don't know what that was.
Do you ejaculate?
No. No, that's completely inappropriate. Although that's what we do here. That was, do you ejaculate, by the interrogator for Nick. No, happy birthday, Christine. Happy birthday, Christine. Yay. Christine is a long-time supporter, subscriber of this channel, of the Making More Simple network up there, all the channels. She is just wonderful, a lovely, lovely person. And I think everybody is already in chat saying happy birthday to Miss Christine. Yes, she is. Iris is saying happy birthday. Hi, Iris. How's it going? Oh, it was a good accent, was it? Oh, thank you. I'm learning from the best. I'm learning from the best. And who else is saying happy birthday? Everyone say happy birthday. Come on, people. Let's go. Happy birthday, Christine. Yes.
Happy birthday.
Birthday. Oh, look, we've got people from the deep there saying happy birthday. Everyone say happy birthday, Christine. Hey, Cece, how are we? How are we today? Veal is saying happy birthday. Yes, Christine, happy birthday. And I noticed that on the Discord this morning, there are people already saying happy birthday to you. Well, it's morning for me. I think people have already been saying happy birthday throughout the day. So it's the first time I've seen you today. I'm sure. Hello, Mads. Yeah, happy birthday, Christine. We all love you so, so much. You're always around. You're always saying hi right at the beginning of the streams. It's so nice to see you. At the beginning of the streams, you're always just there saying hi before everybody else. We just love you, darling. Hello, Farm Girl Mum. Good to see you. Do I know you by another name, Farm Girl Mum? I feel like I've seen you around, but maybe with another name. Welcome, though, if I haven't had you here before. It's good to see you. All right, everybody, let's get into it. Hi, peeps.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome. It is Gypsy Rose Day again. And we have Dali Rose over there on my... Hang on, we're usually this way around. I can go, hey, how's it going? See, I can't change things up because I get confused with my directions. So, hey, how are ya?
Good. How are you?
Good. You're down on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen and you're kind of like disappearing.
I was having
now.
technical issues with my chair.
Technical issues with the chair. So your technical issues are not between the screen and the chair?
No. There, happy woman.
Oh, it's been a while since I've been in chat. I've had to catch up on a lot of replays. Oh, cool. Okay, well, welcome back, Farm Girl Mum. Good to see you.
Yes.
Alrighty. And Veal, how are you today?
I am good. It is a
sexy
interesting
voice.
day.
Yeah, it's Wednesday for you people, isn't it?
It is Wednesday,
It
and I'm
is.
looking for this dumpster fire of a video of Gypsy, and it's driving me crazy now.
Oh, okay. We were talking earlier about there is a video getting around of
I found
Gypsy.
it. I found it.
Sorry. Oh, you found it? Ah, cool. Yeah, there is a video of Gypsy getting around of her actually showing Nick how to get to her mother's bed and showing him how to do the stabby. Now, those who have seen the documentaries and remember, forgive me, I'm not only in Australia and have to watch it via
Backwards.
backwards, upside down, and via the Discords and things, and in my very limited free time. But yeah, I have to sort of hear about these little bits and pieces from others. But let me just get to the point. Apparently, she showed him how to and where to go in order to do it. So it's very much, well, we know that she conspired to do it.
Well, I do like a woman who knows how to communicate. Let's just say that.
I mean, true.
She sure does know
Very
how to
true.
communicate.
Just
She
saying.
sure does know how to
She's telling him exactly what she wants
And that's rare in a woman.
and
I'll say
showing him exactly how to do it.
Exactly.
Huh.
God.
Mhm.
You
Oh,
should
yeah.
already know what I want.
Really? How
She's
far
on the
is
cover of Pebble.
that or something? Can you show me where this is? I need to bring this up on screen. Are you for real? She's on the cover of People magazine.
People magazine. Let's see.
Is People magazine? Please tell me that's not a respected publication of any kind. I don't know what the magazines mean.
It used to
Over
be.
there.
Allegedly.
I don't think anyone
Could
gets
someone please? Would you mind searching that up, guys? Oh my god!
Their
Wait, can
web-
you watch the video? We'll find the video, CC. Don't worry. We'll
I
find
have.
it.
Yes, I am working on it now. Apparently, my video editor has to update. So give me just.
Okay, we will find it. Don't stress. Okay, the reason we're interested in this particular video, the magazine's become irrelevant. All magazines have become irrelevant, haven't they?
Yeah, and their website
yeah.
is laid out differently than how the magazine would be.
Yeah, because all magazines are really just websites now, aren't they? They're not really.
Basically,
I mean, you can go. I think you can if you are particularly old-fashioned. You can go and buy a magazine.
You can still buy a Penthouse and
Okay,
find, in the February of 2020 issue, the girl on the cover went to my high school. She was my best friend in senior year.
You saw it in the grocery store, Havarish?
Wait.
The other side, the other aisle had Taylor Swift on the cover. Oh my God, she would just be loving that. There's her next to Taylor Swift in the grocery aisle. Imagine how much she feels like she's succeeded in life.
I mean,
imagine that.
I mean, so all I have to do is what she did to get on the cover of People.
Yeah.
Watch out, Mom.
Yeah, watch out. Mommy Dearest, watch out. Miss Dali's mom, watch out. That's it. Okay. So we get into it, guys. So today we are continuing with the testimony of the psychologist. So this is the first of two psychologists who are talking about the mental disabilities of Mr. Nick Godejohn. Hello, Fed. Literally, indeed. Hello. Hey, Paralegal Liz. Paralegal Liz has been working on her press pass to go to the evidentiary hearing for Mr. Murdoch on the 29th, 30th, and 31st of January. We can't wait. And it's looking spiffy, that press pass, I've got to say. Wait till you see it, guys.
I think she's going to do a better job than
all
I did.
dolled up for that. She will be in the courtroom for us. That's so exciting. Okay, we'll get into this and we'll come back. We'll interrupt it shortly once we get this other information for you about the involvement from Gypsy Rose in the stabulating. Hello, Emu Warrior. Now, from sunny Melbourne. Yes, it's sunny in Melbourne, I would assume. Sunnier than it is in US. Hello, Haiti. How's it going? Oh, Haiti, we were just talking about your tweet regarding the 10 to 14 stabulations and the. Do you mind if I bring it up, Haiti? Do you mind if I bring up a actual tweet by you? You let me know in chat. Some people don't like people bringing up their tweets, but I may do so after a little bit of testimony. Let's keep going for now.
Sure, she says.
Sure, she says.
Yep, she said sure. Lol.
Okay, great. I'll do that. Maybe if you could let me know when you've got that video.
Yep, I have to
You
do
got the
something.
video.
I have,
We'll stop everything. We'll do it.
I have to change something.
Okay,
yeah,
he
he
has to
has to
change
update
something.
his
So
thingy.
we'll come back to it then. We have the video to back it up as well, Haiti.
Yep.
And I'll just get the sound going a bit better here. I've flicked back about 20, 30 seconds from where we were last time, just so that we can catch up.
As long as you flick forward again.
Now, here, Hella, what you're going to want to do here is hit the play button. It's the
Sorry,
little,
what'd you say?
like, you want to hit the play button.
I had the play button on, then you started telling me what's the problem.
Well, I didn't see you turn it on, so.
Oh dear. Bye, Sal.
Can you just flick the play button? If you can find it. I can never find it.
That's what she said.
Well, I just assumed I can't ever find it, so I assume that was your difficulty.
I can't hear you.
God damn it.
Ugh.
God damn it.
I'm picking up all the signals.
Hey,
No,
Pixie,
you can hear
yes,
me.
Christine is here.
You can hear me, woman.
Hey,
Are you going to play it?
who's got it?
You have it.
I don't have it. Where is it?
The video.
Where is it?
That's on screen. The guy with the big, weird face.
Private chat me.
No, I need the court feed. Start it.
Oh, it's not playing.
No,
No.
that's why he was giving you shit.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, guys. Okay, just give me a break for a second.
It's okay.
I can see the screen. I can see the guy on the screen. Everything seems to be fine. It's playing over there, but it's not playing there. I apologize.
Okay. No, so it's okay. I'm sorry.
I apologize. Right, you need to be more clear about what's going on here, because for me it looks fine. Right, like
It looks fine for me too. It's just not playing.
It's just not playing. Okay, thank you. All right, I apologize. All right, guys, boomer moment. I'm really sorry.
It's okay.
I'm really sorry.
Trust
And
me,
I
that's
thought that
90%.
Dali was playing with me. I thought Dali was playing because he does that.
I mean, you have good reason to believe that.
I do have so much reason to believe that.
I mean, I was still
you
trying
guys
to mess
know.
with you, but yeah. I didn't realize it was
And-
technical issues.
It was technical issues.
Okay.
Yeah, it really was, because I can see my screen playing and I can
No, I
see
believe
this
you.
dude on my. Yeah. So, and of course, I would expect that you're just stuffing around with me. There we go. And now I can press play.
Tests that involve visual
There we
talk.
go.
Yeah.
No, it's still
Is
not
this
working.
To make
I'm
it
kidding.
It's
I'm
working
kidding.
just fine.
Shut up. Shut
Finally-
up.
We finally located
It's
it.
called the Wechsler
There
Adult
we go.
Intelligence
It's working?
Scale, 4th
Yes.
edition.
And I'm
It's
not
working
asking you,
just fine.
darling. I'm going to ask chat.
I'm sorry,
Chat,
why
is
do
it
you use
working?
that?
It's working
What's the
just fine.
standard in the field for evaluating IQ?
Tell us a little bit about the test.
Please chat.
Was
Yeah, I
broken
can
up into
respond.
4 components, and they're each considered an aspect of intelligence. One is called verbal comprehension. Those are verbal tests, vocabulary, information. There's one called similarities that measures abstract reasoning.
Yeah, I need something.
And then there's another subscale that is called perceptual reasoning. Those are tests that involve visual problems. One is putting blocks together to make geometric patterns, and then the other one is a maze test. And then there's working memory, which is the ability to hold something in memory while you perform an operation or a manipulation with it. And the last one is called processing speed. And that's the ability to process novel information and novel stimuli.
And then do you have an overall IQ that you determine from all these?
Yes.
Let's take them one at a time. I think you mentioned verbal communication. What does that tell you as a psychologist when you look at that? When you get a score there?
Well, it's the ability to solve verbally presented problems. So some people are verbal problem solvers, some are more visual. And if they do well on the verbal, then that means that if they hear something, they're going to have a better time solving it if they score higher on the verbal subtests.
Did you get a score, a raw score in his verbal communication?
I did.
And what is that raw
Raw
score?
score.
His index score was 96. That's based upon a standard score, and the mean would be 100. So his verbal comprehension was average.
And did you come up with a percentile?
39th percentile.
And tell us what that means. So that we're all clear what you mean by 39 percentile.
That's where he would rank, with 100 being the highest. Percentile rank is based upon 0 to 100. And it's basically your place in the normative sample of people that have taken this test.
You also mentioned working memory. Tell us what that is.
Working memory is the ability to hold something in memory and perform an operation or a manipulation with it. On this test, it's measured by giving somebody a string of digits, then they have to repeat them back to you in reverse order. And then also given some random digits, and they have to sequence them from lowest to highest.
Did you come up with a score?
Yes,
What is the raw score in working memory?
77.
Did you come up with a percentile where that would rank?
Yes,
What's that?
6th.
The 94% of the population would have a higher score. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
What about perceptual reasoning? What is that?
That's the ability to solve problems visually, sometimes with your hands, sometimes just visually.
Did you come up with a raw score there?
Oh, he solved
Yes.
problems with
What
his
was
hands
that?
already.
It was 90,
What percentile would that be?
25th.
What about processing speed? What is that?
Processing speed is the ability to look at novel information and reproduce it in some manner, integrate it and reproduce it.
Did you come up with a raw score?
Do you ejaculate?
What's that?
74,
What percentile would that be?
4th.
Again, 96, if I'm adding right, percent of the population would be higher.
That's right.
Did you come up with an overall IQ for Mr. Godejohn?
I did.
What's that?
82,
A doorknob
And
would be
What
higher.
percentile would that be?
12th percentile.
Now, let's talk a little bit about that overall score.
Smarter than we gave
Are
him
there
credit
different
for.
categories of functioning when one has higher or lower IQs? Are there different categories?
Yes.
What are the categories?
Well, there's superior, high average, average, low average, borderline, and deficient.
Borderline.
And
And if you
how does one fit in one of the
growing up, it was
categories?
called
Is it based
retard.
on his or her score?
Well, it would be generally based upon the full scale IQ. However, when there's so much variability or spread in the scores, sometimes the overall IQ is not the most representative score because the person does really well on some things and poorly on others.
Is that what you noticed in this case?
Yes, a lot of variability, a lot of spread in the scores.
And what did that tell you as a psychologist?
Sometimes it's associated with neuropsychological impairment. autism is considered a brain-based disorder, a neurological disorder, and I think that this is symptomatic of that. Working memory and processing speed are sensitive to neuropsychological impairment, and that was his poorest performance.
And where did his overall IQ rank in terms of the categories?
He would be considered low average, although processing speed and working memory were borderline.
All these scores taken together, what does that tell you about Mr. Godejohn?
Generally speaking, his overall IQ is low average. His ability to comprehend verbal information is within the average range. His visual motor problem solving is in the average range. He's going to have difficulty processing information. His memory is not very good, particularly if he has to remember something and manipulate it in some way. He's going to struggle with that.
Now, tell us what the wide range achievement test is.
It's an academic achievement test. It measures
Clearly much
reading,
smarter than
spelling, and
him.
arithmetic.
Did you do that test with Mr. Godejohn?
I did.
Tell us what categories you're looking at in that test.
I administered the reading, spelling, and math computation subtests.
Tell us, how do you score that when you read? Is there a, I'll just make it a question. Let's start with reading. Did you achieve a score with Mr. Godejohn on reading?
Yes.
What was that score?
His standard score was 93 based upon a mean of 100, so that's average. That's just sight reading ability, the ability to look at a word and pronounce it correctly.
And what percentage of the population would that put him in?
He was at the 32nd percentile.
What about spelling? What score did he get there?
His standard score was 102 and a percentile rank of 55.
What about math computation?
Math was significantly lower. It was at the 75th percentile. I'm sorry, the 75th standard score and a percentile rank of 5.
Did you do any neurological screening?
I did.
What is neurological screening?
Well, these are processing tests. They're
I think that's what they
considered
call
screening
pretty
tests.
stupid.
And if somebody performs in the impaired range on them, it provides some evidence that they're suffering from neuropsychological deficits.
What was the result of your visual screening test?
They were both considered processing tests, and he performed in the impaired range on both of them. His
Apparently I'm
processing
hard to
speed is
hear.
slow, and that's evidence of neuropsychological
Is this better?
impairment.
It is.
What about symbol
much
digital
better.
values? Did you do that?
I
I'll
did.
just talk
What
like
did you
this.
find there?
He was beneath the 10th percentile. His processing speed is slow.
It's probably a bit
Now,
secondary.
you talked a little bit about having evaluated him. Did you draw any conclusions about Mr. Godejohn and as it relates to DSM-5, where he may be on that?
No, Mo's not here. She's on
Yes.
a date.
What did you conclude?
Yeah.
He has an autism spectrum disorder. I also administered an autism quotient test, and he was positive on that. And it supported the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, and in my opinion, it was at the level 2.
Is that consistent with his earlier diagnosis?
It's consistent
Very
with
gay.
his school records, his social security records, and an evaluation that was performed by Dr. Goldstein in 2010.
Do you have testing that you do to help determine this?
Yeah, the autism?
Yes.
Yes.
And what kind of testing do you do? What is it called, first of all?
I use the autism quotient, and it's based upon 3 tests. The first is an autism questionnaire, and it's
Bill, are you still
basically
fighting that
autism
video?
questions about primarily
I have to
social
change
behavior
on it.
and collective behavior. There's a second test that's called the empathy quotient. People who suffer from autism have deficits in empathy. It's called the theory of the mind. They have difficulty understanding other people's points of view. They cannot put themselves in someone else's shoes. The empathy quotient helps measure that. And then the third is the relatives questionnaire. And I administered that with his dad over the telephone.
Do you score these things?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you score the first one, the autism questionnaire?
Well, I have a spreadsheet and type in the scores I had him fill them out on a form, and then I entered it into the spreadsheet, and the computer scored it.
Did you come up with a score?
I did.
Tell us what the score is, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
On the autism spectrum quotient, the AQ, he scored 30.
What does that mean to you? It probably doesn't mean much to any of us, since we don't really understand it, but what does it mean to you?
It's in the high range. Most people with autism spectrum disorders score around 32, according to the research on the scale. He scored at 30, and it would be considered a high score. He's endorsing a lot of symptoms of autistic spectrum disorder.
What about the empathy quotient? What kind of score did you get on that?
Hello,
He had a
David.
score of 27.
Hey.
Apparently, I need to
What
talk
that
like
means?
this.
Again, that was in the impaired range.
more audible,
He
but
showed
also
significant
much sexier.
deficits in empathy, or the ability to understand other people and put himself in their shoes,
I'm just
and understand
organising
others,
to later on.
their emotional
redirect to
perspectives,
your
empathy.
awesome stream.
He's deficient in it.
For the turtle.
In the relatives questionnaire, what did that tell you? Because I assume you'd be talking to a third person, right?
His father. His father reported he had a lot of autistic symptoms. He had difficulty forming relationships with peers. There was some rocking behavior, a little bit of head banging behavior as a kid. He would bang his head against walls while he rocked. He collected things like rocks, action figures, very little peer development while he was growing up. He never formed a social
mean like
niche. He was
this?
solitary. And the relatives questionnaire was positive for autism spectrum disorder. All
You
three
need
of
to
these
hear
were.
my American accent.
Overall, what do these tests tell you about Nicholas Godejohn?
That he has an autism spectrum disorder.
See, this is nowhere near as sexy as my Australian accent.
Characterized by severe deficits in social understanding, social reciprocity, understanding nonverbal cues, understanding emotions, and then an insistence on sameness,
Distant.
inability
in
to
his
venture outside of his
testimony,
house,
if you
and the
recall, he
collective
was
behaviors
talking
that's
about
characteristic of the
collecting
disorder.
And did you draw an ultimate conclusion regarding?
And we actually picked up on him saying that, and we're like, well, he didn't collect anything.
Of psychological certainty, what did you
And
diagnose?
it's very distant. This means that
Mr.
you're
Godejohn with?
Autism spectrum disorder.
you're a bit
level 2.
naughty.
Anything else that you added to that?
No,
Anything about support?
requiring substantial support with accompanying intellectual impairment.
And was that part of your diagnosis?
Yes,
What does that mean, requiring substantial support with accompanying intellectual impairment?
it's a specifier in the DSM-5. It means that he requires substantial support in order to be able to function adequately. He needs supervision and he needs structure, or he could pose a danger to himself or others.
One thing. Judge, can we make a brief record if you don't mind? Yes.
I wouldn't call them well-functioning adults, Matt.
Good job.
This guy looks like he's wondering if he left his oven on this morning. Did I? No. Oh. This guy's like me when I get to work and I'm like, okay, did I lock my door? Okay, did I put the child locks on my refrigerator? Okay, I think I did. And I'm sure I pulled the door shut a few times to make sure it's locked. I checked both cats
Child
are in the
locks.
house. Yeah, on my refrigerator.
Why child locks?
In case my cats open my refrigerator.
You have child locks on your refrigerator?
And some doors, yeah.
You might reference the specific.
For Babu.
Yeah.
We must not
And other
discuss this
Babu?
case.
Yeah.
Among yourselves or with
Really?
others. or permit
They open the
anyone to
cabinet.
discuss it in your hearing.
They can open all the
You
cabinets.
should not form or express any
And the
opinion about
fridge.
the case
They have
until
not
it is
opened the
finally
fridge,
given
but I have
you
not-
decided. Do
don't
not
wanna
do any
test that
research
theory.
or investigation on your own about any matter
That would take
regarding
significant
this
strength.
case or anyone involved with the trial. Do not communicate
As much as
with
opening the
others
cabinets that they do.
read, view, or listen to
Just
any news.
get up on their paws and just take a few steps
electronic
back.
communication from the internet or television report of the trial. It's 2:48. Why don't we recess for about 5 after 3?
I've seen Babu try to do it before, so I was like, nope.
All right.
Yeah, the one time I saw Babu opening the theater, I'm just like, no. Nope. I am getting child locks for this.
All right. You need to tell me that there's surveillance in your house, because if one day the two baboos actually team up and can open the fridge together, that video is going viral. Right? If
I
they
can't
manage
encourage
to,
them.
No. If that happens, that is some great viral video.
Oh, I need to post that knife video. I need to post that knife video
the knife
again.
video is very good. The knife video is very, very good. If anyone hasn't seen the knife video of the two cats like conspiring to
Her Babu
stabulate Dali,
is like over on my knife set, and Babu is just like trying to grab the knife and like chew kind of on the handle and pull it out. And it's just, oh my God.
All right, what have we got? 1 minute on that video. Okay, so all right, so Viola's almost got that video. So what we're going to do is have a quick look though, before we go into this next bit of testimony. And by the way, can you guys hear me okay, as long as the court's not going? Okay, great. Okay, we're going to have a look at Haiti's tweet first, and so we'll go there. Alrighty. So hey Haiti, how are you? Haiti's always dropping the facts. And she, for the record, she says she didn't mind us posting this. Alrighty. So this just proves what we've been saying. Gypsy manipulated Nick into this entire situation. She sent him that video where she mapped out the path for him to walk to the side of her mum's bed. And she even showed how to do the deed with the stabbing motion.
Okay,
Sick.
how retarded does she think he is that he needs a guide to doing this?
Well, he's not that
Like
smart.
He needs a user manual. Step 1, go into the house, turn down the hall to the left. Step 2, take a right. Step 3, after you hang that right, go into the room. You'll see Mother Bear on her stomach on the bed. You'll want to go ahead, enter the room. Oh, you got to make sure you have the knife in your hand like this. And then you want to go ahead and take a few steps quietly. That's the part. Step 6.
Quietly.
Turn
She's
hang
a
a
light
left.
sleeper.
Yes. Hang a left. Watch out for the dirty laundry pile. She's kind of a pig. Step 8. You take a few steps. Then you mount my mother. Step 9, you mount my mother. Step 10, after you mount my mother, you start going.
I mean, that was probably the noise that the bed was making.
Step 11. Step 11 is very, very important.
Do you ejaculate?
Don't go further. That would be wrong. Look, no, he's not a monster.
That's step
He's
12.
I mean,
He's not a monster. Sal is worryingly good at this story. Well, Sal is far more intelligent.
Yeah. I don't need a DIY guide for it.
No. Okay. So now also, so this is going back through. So she's gone and quoted someone else's tweet. Now, this is from the motion for appeal document, which, by the way, next week we are going to be getting one of our wonderful lawyer friends to pop onto stream and come on and have a look through this document with us, because
that doesn't sound
we
very
ain't lawyers.
what? That doesn't sound very appealing.
Appealing. Oh, it's not appealing at all. Boom tish. Yes, indeed. So maybe it'll be David. Maybe it'll be Mr. Bronca. Maybe it'll be Mr. Nick. We don't know yet. We'll see who's free. David is always our first one that we send out the bat signal to. He is our Making Law Simple network friend. And if he's available, we'll have him here. And we'll go through this appeal document. And apparently it is full of incredible, juicy information about how much involvement Gypsy had with planning this out, not even just so much with Nick, but for Nick.
Mhm.
And so just for example, and it is a little bit pixelated, but Dr. Wood found that the videos from GB, that's Gypsy Rose Blanchard, to Mr. Godejohn were instructional videos. Autistic people receive that information about the social requirements of relationships from the structure of videos rather than the outside world. Mr. Godejohn was receiving his information about the requirements for his social relationship from the video and not from anywhere else. The various persona were feeding Mr. Godejohn instructions on the subject of love, for example. She instructed him, if you love me, you will do this. If you love me, you will do that.
Yes, Jody.
The instruction video demonstrated how to stab somebody. They were instruction videos that told him what the rewards would be for appropriate behavior. And they were instructional videos that told what the punishment would be for behavior that persona did not like. Yes. It, yes.
Just gonna get some with JJ.
Pretty sexual.
It was a process of shaping a person who had social deficits into action of some form that would demonstrate his love for her.
Aww.
Dr. W testified that the videos would affect Mr. Godejohn differently than a non-autistic person because the videos would totally define Nick's reality. There would not be a separate Nick out in the real world who could second guess his role playing. When he was in the role playing situations, he was totally there. He was totally there in an instructional setting where she laid the ground rules for how he would relate to her. There you go. And then we have some responses from people. In my opinion, she did 10 of the 14 stabbings. Remember, there's 14 stabs, but there was only 4 that went deep. So far in this
We know the ones that went deep.
yeah, we've been talking about the 4 that actually caused the unaliving, but there were 10 more. And Haiti said, you're probably right. Nick said he only stabbed her 4 times. Gypsy said what her mother's last words were. Gypsy was very involved, just like she was when she thought the BB gun was real.
Yep.
Yeah. Considering Nick is so honest, I don't think he'd lie and say 4 if he really did at 17, which means Gypsy is way more involved than she says. Yes, way more. As a matter of fact, I personally think she did it all, and he's taking the heat from her. Don't know about that. But if we go off what both said, he did 10 of them. Nick's story has always remained the same, and Gypsy's hasn't. And I've gone, shit, this is nuts.
It's just so awkward to me. Like you think you have a pew pew, and it's actually a BB pew pew. So you go and you're like, die, pew pew pew, and you just shoot him with a few BBs. Then you're like, ha ha ha, just kidding, LOL, ha ha,
LOL.
Yeah,
just a joke.
Well, it's not a joke because she walks through this video.
Well, no, but how do you respond to your mom when your mom doesn't become unalived and she's like, why the hell are you shooting me with BBs?
I had to stick something in the upper left
guys,
corner
watch.
to cover the thing up. Sorry.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah.
She's just saying she's going to give him a BJ afterwards.
Oh. So
Guys, watch. So Viola's just put this together.
yeah,
Wow, I wasn't kidding about the pigsty.
yeah.
Don't trip on any of the trash or laundry.
There's no audio to it. Well,
That's
there was,
fine.
but I had to remove it.
See, she's doing a BJ motion.
Yeah. So that is she literally walks through it. So
Let's watch it again.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can
so
watch
this
that
is
motion
her
again.
taking him in there
Mhm.
and go around here, go in there,
Mhm.
and you have to do this, and then you need to go in there and
Now turn,
stabby,
and
stabby,
then let me
stabby.
blow you.
And then we can go in there and do the
Oh, I like how they blur out the Harley
Mhm.
Davidson pillow logo.
This is mind blowing, guys.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
What the? Ah,
Yeah,
clean your room, Bucko.
it's pretty bad. Like,
Clean your room.
but so here's the funny thing. So I have some more information about this video.
Yes.
So through the interrogation, through all that stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
So, nobody is aware that this exists, including her defense attorney. Doesn't know that this exists. And then apparently when they were doing the negotiations for the plea, this video comes up, and you should see the look on the defense attorney's face when he said that he found out about it. He was just like, "Oh my God."
How do you know this? Where did you see this?
That is in the documentary. They talked to her defense attorney, and he was like, "Yeah, we didn't know about that until they played it." And we were like,
Oh, we need that bit too.
"Well, that's part of the documentary."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, her defense attorney they were not aware that this video existed because she hid it from them. They did not know existed until they played it in court. Yeah, like Haiti said, in that moment when they played it in court was the first time that they had seen it, and they were like, "Oh crap." Yeah.
Wow. She's smart.
Yeah.
She is so smart. I
She
can't
hit
get
a
over how
lot.
well she did this.
Yeah, she hid a lot of stuff. So I think based on a lot of the stuff that's coming out, like I don't think that she's not culpable in more ways than she said.
She did this. She's so smart. She's not dumb.
Yeah.
Wow. And yeah, like it's
Gypsy did.
He really, like, she really saw him coming. Like, and I don't mean in a filthy way, like, because he didn't come.
Well, because he didn't.
But no, he didn't. He didn't come at all. But she really, like, when she went looking on those like Christian dating site, it's like I would like to see how many men that she sort of went through as potential candidates, and was like, "No, you're too smart. No, not you. Not you. Not you. You.
Yeah, you're just enough an idiot for me."
Yeah, you're perfect amount of idiot.
Yeah.
Perfect amount of idiot. It's almost like she would have performed one of these tests on him. It's like, hey, would you take an IQ test and an autism test with me? Ah, right, okay. Yeah, you fail. Perfect.
Yeah, so
wow.
Mads, so yeah, Gypsy was the one who was hiding it, and so it's probably not appealable. So, I mean, I would assume that this was when Gypsy was doing the plea, is when this first came out. But I'm assuming because she sent it to Nick, he had it as well. So like why they didn't play that while she was on the stand, who knows? Like it makes no sense. It's like you literally walked him through this and how to do it. So yeah. It's really crazy. But yeah, so it's probably not appealable because this was for Gypsy, not for Nick. So yeah.
Exactly. All right, let's continue. We have another expert for the defense now. I'm not sure his exact qualifications, so we'll have a look at that. If he continues to blur on about his qualifications, we'll fast forward through that, guys. I'm not going to keep you while he qualifies himself as a expert witness, but we will find out what his background is. Okay, let's go.
Please be seated. Ms. Berry, do you have any additional evidence you wish to present?
At the time the defense will rest,
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
It's
you
straight.
listen to the rest of this presentation of evidence. Patrick, do you have any rebuttal evidence?
Get to state calls, Dr. Butler, Denny.
Yes, sir. Dr. Dennis, come on up.
How could Gypsy have something the state did not have?
The state did have it, so she didn't hide it from the
I
state.
see.
She hid it from her own attorneys, not the state. The state had it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was just hiding it from her own attorneys, not the state. The state obviously had it, which is how it was played in court. She just hid it from her own attorney.
Right.
Do you solemnly swear that testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Absolutely. No
Yes, I-
problem,
thank you.
ex-coma. And thank you very much for the super
Good
chat.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you take your name for the record and spell your last name for the report?
Robert.
You don't love it, do you?
Dee, last name Dee.
Poor Dali.
How are you employed?
I am a private practitioner in the area of clinical psychology.
Can you explain for us a little bit what psychology is?
Well, psychology is actually quite broad and can include anything from running
so
rats
happy.
in mazes to studying human behavior. Clinical psychology is focused more on human behavior and how to measure that, how to
I don't blame
hopefully
you.
improve that for people.
Do you practice in any other specific areas of psychology?
Yes, I practice in two different specialty areas. One is forensic psychology, and the other is clinical neuropsychology.
Could you tell us a little bit about what clinical neuropsychology is?
Clinical neuropsychology is the study of brain behavior relationships. So a clinical psychologist or a clinical neuropsychologist is a clinical psychologist that has advanced training in the brain, from neuroanatomy, neuropathology, how the brain functions, and how to measure the brain and evaluate people with brain abnormalities,
Is
things
clear
like that.
And what about forensic
or
psychology?
yellow, but
Forensic psychology is generally a clinical psychologist who has some specialized training in the area of the application of that clinical psychology principles to areas of the law, which could include civil law, personal injury maybe, or other forms of law, criminal law, of course, as well.
I'll show you what I've marked as State Exhibit 187. Do you recognize State Exhibit 187?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
That's my CV.
What is a CV? Just briefly?
Curriculum vitae, it's a resume, fancy word for resume.
How many pages is your resume?
22, I believe.
You admit State Exhibit 187?
No objection, Judge.
You received without objection. Are you licensed as a psychologist?
Yes, I am.
Where?
I have a license to practice psychology in Missouri. I also have a license to practice in the District of Columbia, that's Washington, D.C. And then I have a temporary license to practice in the state of Alaska.
Do you hold any board certifications?
Yes, I do.
What are they?
Two different board certifications. Number one, I am board certified in forensic psychology by the American Board of Professional Psychology, and have been since 1997.
Okay.
The other board certification is in the area of clinical neuropsychology.
La 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 la. Permission to do that. Credentials, long panel, psychological advanced skills. Na 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 na.
schools,
This is good with the
rotations. Ooh, let's learn about his rotation. Does he have a good rotation? Is it counterclockwise or clockwise?
I could just keep going through this. Goodness me, for a while.
The Federal Bureau of Prisons mail.
Oh my God. Don't you love being able to fast forward through these things?
Yeah.
When we do live trials, we just have to watch it.
Yeah. Let me tell you about myself for the next 30 minutes.
Yes. Let me just talk and talk and talk about how great I am.
So like for sanity or mental state at the time of crime, evaluation. So like for sanity or
Is he
mental
still
state at the time
talking
of the
about
crime, you have to incorporate additional
what
information that you wouldn't normally
his
do in
evaluation
a
is.
clinical examination.
Like
And I don't know
why he
how
is
much
here.
detail you want me to get into.
Let me ask you this. So do you break up the areas you look at in a certain domain?
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good way to look at it, is to use a model. Rather than just zooming in there and evaluating somebody and trying to come up with some opinion, use a step-by-step methodical model as to how you gather information and connect it together.
Classic figure.
And so using this model,
Classic.
we've got information we learn that is contemporaneous, like right now, today, present time. Okay, so I would interview the person. So I get information from the person about their current mental status. I would also perform other tests
Yeah,
and
totally.
figure out, other contemporary things. It's what's all going on for this person
The other
right
day,
now. And those two things will then guide me
Franco
to
said he had
pretty
to
good understanding
qualify
of what
himself for an
person's
hour.
current mental status is. Okay, so
An
that's
hour.
one row across. Okay, but we have another row here in the middle, this mental state at the time of the
Like, I mean,
alleged
I know
offense
they
or
all love
whatever
talking
it is
about
you're
themselves, but an hour?
looking at in the past.
No.
And you have to obviously interview the person, ask them about their mental state at the time. But you also have to review collateral information, investigative reports, information, other people that were present at the time, maybe that saw the
I'm excited
behavior
for
of
you,
the
Liz.
person, and you analyze what that behavior looks like. And then knowing that self-report and the other information, the objective information, what actually happened, and combining those two together can lead you to a clinical decision about what their mental state was like at that time. Sorry, I'll try to slow down. Then there's another row that is historic.
Oh, isn't that nice,
Okay, you
man?
talk to the
He was
person
talking to
about
us,
their
the
history,
reporter, and he's
how
like,
they
I'll
grew
slow
up,
down
what
to
sort of
you
issues
here.
were in their life, if they've had mental conditions or issues or problems before. But then you also look at the collateral information there too. What do the records show? What do the past hospitalizations show? When mental illness or mental problems manifested themselves in that history, what did they look like? And so then combining these two together give you a pretty good idea of here what the person's health conditions like historically. Okay, so now we have three different rows, and we've got self-report here, we've got objective outside information that might include investigative materials or behavioral observations at past time, things like that, other people observing the person. And then we've got my clinical conclusions. And once you've got all 9 of these boxes filled in, then you can combine these two together and figure out what a mental state was like at the time of the offense, and then you can answer the question that the court poses, whether it's insanity or whatever.
Is this guy a hunchback?
It's a retrospective competency or something. Does that make sense? So you have to combine each of these areas together.
Oh no, just the
and
way
then
he's like
that guides
hunched
you
over. Is this a
into
blur?
a well-informed, reasonable conclusion about the mental state of the past.
Get to the point.
Did you just publish with regard to that model you just described?
Yes, I first published that model in 2000, and it's been published again in
Oh, you're going to talk
Dude,
about
stop
Gypsy
like
now.
lifting up your shoulders.
2012, 2016.
He's trying to impress a lady on
Have you had the
the
opportunity to examine the defendant, Nicholas Godejohn?
Yes, I have.
Here we go.
Can
Finally.
you, before we talk about your examination, can you tell the jury a little bit about the materials that you reviewed before doing that, or as part of that process?
I can if I look at my notes, because I wrote a report that lists all those things. There were way too many things for me to remember.
D large note taking. I drew some dick pics in here. Can I refresh my memory, please? Oh yeah,
I
this one
wonder-
is especially veiny.
Okay. That's page and a half worth of things.
Nice
listed.
curve.
Let me just ask you about some things.
Me.
You don't really want me to go through everything.
Oh, I've got
Did
to
you review the charges in this case
work on the,
Yes, I did,
and the probable cause statement?
of course.
And did you review the Green County Sheriff's
I forgot,
Office
didn't
case
you, Dali?
summary
Yes, I did.
and timeline
Yes.
and the interview of the well,
Who does this guy remind me of?
leading a little bit, but it may expedite on. they're really not substantive.
It does remind me of somebody. I don't know.
Did you review interviews of people associated with the case?
Yes, I did. I interviewed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different individuals, or I read reports of interviews of 7 different individuals with the Greene County Sheriff's Office.
Did you review some surveillance videos of the defendant?
Yes, there were 1, 2, 3
Sir,
surveillance
count in your
videos
head.
that were Greene County related, but then there were also videos from Wisconsin that I reviewed as well.
Jesus Christ, this guy's going to take
Did
his
you
shoes off and
review,
start counting with his toes soon.
Facebook messages between the defendant and Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Between the defendant and Allie Noble, Beth Destress, Aurora Jones, and Caitlin Lee?
Yes, I did.
Did you review the defendant's medical records and disability reports and the other materials reviewed by Dr. Franks?
Yes, I did.
Did you have an opportunity to review Dr. Franks' report?
Time.
Yes, I did, and his raw data as well.
What do you mean by raw data?
He
Raw
likes it
data
raw.
is the actual, like when we administer psychological testing, there's actual protocol or a paper that goes with that where we write down answers and we write down scorings and things like that. And then total those numbers and come to conclusions from that. I reviewed that data as well.
I want to talk a little bit about the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, or DSM. Can you explain briefly what that is?
The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders is a publication by the American Psychiatric Association. It is our diagnostic manual. It helps us classify different conditions. It's got the diagnostic criteria, what is a condition, what isn't a condition, whether there are severities in that condition, if there's multiple conditions that come together and create another condition, all of that's spelled out in the diagnostic manual. And it's sort of our Bible as far as diagnosis.
With regard to autism spectrum disorder, is that a mental disease in the DSM?
Is it?
And can you tell us a little bit about what autism spectrum disorder is in general?
Well, autism spectrum disorder is a really concept that a person has impaired interactions with the environment, socially mostly. And within that umbrella, there's different characteristics that have changed a little bit over time based upon, changed in the sense that the classification of them has changed. But it's, the condition itself, as I think you've heard, is a difficulty in social interaction that causes problems. You know, difficulty interacting with other people normally in a social way, but also a tendency towards repetitive, focused type of behaviors that become problematic. And then there's some other subcategories that other things you have to rule out. But basically those two features to identify something within the autism spectrum disorders. And then there's sub-classifications that, depending on other characteristics of the individual or other characteristics of the individual when they were a child, up through 3 years of age, and how they behaved and how they learned, that would change that diagnosis a little bit. And they all fall under the umbrella of autism spectrum. And it's a concept, if I may, that varies from very severe to very, very mild, and even to where it's so mild it's not necessarily considered a quote, disorder.
I'm happy to fast forward a bit if you think that we've already heard this exact stuff.
The other guy explained the same thing, basically.
He did explain the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's nice to have you.
Now where he looks like he's actually talking about him.
And we don't know exactly why there was that delay there. Could have been a delay, but either way, he caught up. And so it was Asperger's. And I agree with that diagnosis at the time. I think it was correct.
Thank you, Jan.
Just talk a little bit more about his history. What was his history with regard to vocational rehabilitation?
And
Well,
birthday to Christine again. Hope you're having a great
while he was in high school, he was in a program that included job placement.
I am working
Okay.
on this.
And so he'd be in classes, but then he would leave
Yeah,
classes and
Dali,
go
I
to work
should say.
somewhere as a helper or doing some sort of work type of behavior in a cafe or something like that. And he did that some. And then after he finished with high school, he was involved with the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation to at least get enrolled there and have them facilitate a program of vocation for him. In between those events, he also worked at the pizza place for a while, where he was waving a sign out.
Oh, he was waving a
And
sign
was
at
he
the front.
approved for a program of schooling at the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation?
My recollection of reviewing those
Okay.
records, yes, he
Fair
was.
enough. You do what you
He
do.
wanted to get into computer, IT things, computer science, and they were really pushing him more into the culinary arts,
Quite cool.
kitchens, stuff like that.
Culinary arts.
And then he finally said, yes,
Working with
I'll
knives.
do that. And then in the time it took before the program actually started,
It
he
was
then
sign
called me and
waving.
said, nah.
So we've talked about his history a little bit, and we've heard a little bit about his history. I'd like to talk now about the present that you mentioned. Did you have an opportunity to examine it?
I did.
Can you talk to the jury about that process in general and what that examination consists of?
Sure. I examined him over 3 settings, January 25, 26, February 2nd of 2017.
We have something for that.
And
Do you ejaculate?
it was a thorough evaluation that included about 4 hours of interviewing him face to face in private, and then about 11 hours of testing over those 3 days.
Can you describe your interaction with the defendant in general?
Yes. He was alert and oriented and in no acute distress. He was not upset or frustrated. He was reasonably pleasant. At first, he was reserved and rather cool toward me. As the interview progressed over a number of hours and then over a couple of days, he became more jovial and more relaxed in his interaction with me. I would say his affect was jovial, that is his moody sort of presentation. It was reasonably friendly. He had better eye contact with me than I thought he was going to. It did not seem particularly abnormal. I mean, he would look at me and he would look down and talk. He would look at me. Right? It's unusual to stare at somebody, right? It's also unusual to never look at them. His eye contact was actually pretty reasonable, I thought. Well, better as the time went on than
Oxide.
it was up front, of course.
You've seen the days in surveillance videos at the counter there.
Yes, I am.
Eye contact similar that he makes to the clerk there.
Yes, he made when I was reviewing that, it looked like he made reasonable eye contact, as best you can tell from that angle, but also the social dynamic between the two. The woman behind the counter and he were both chuckling at the same issues, whether it be his bottle of root beer or whether it was hair, whatever, they were chuckled together.
What were your observations about the Greyhound bus station surveillance?
The thing that I thought was interesting about the Greyhound bus surveillance video are a couple things, actually. There was the one where he came up to the counter to get the ticket initially. And the plan was, he's already had a ticket for return. They just needed to add another seat. And he was at the counter, and the person presumably tells him, well, there's no more seats. Okay, so we got to do something different. And then he gets cash back, and they change this, and he purchases another ticket. What's striking to me is that he did not blow up. He did not react angry or frustrated or which is something that would be very common with somebody with autism who would have a problem with change, especially last minute. and in a potentially stressful environment. And he didn't do that. He responded to that flexibly, I thought. The other thing that was striking to me was the other scene where they're waiting in a line to go up to the ticket person to check tickets and ID, whatever, and then points them to go get on the bus. They waited in this line of people. I don't remember how many it was, but it had to be 15, 20, maybe more people in this line. And you could watch them working their way up patiently. They didn't react negatively to that. They waited patiently, got up to the front, processed the tickets, and went on. I thought that was striking too, that he didn't have a negative reaction of being surrounded by people in that line.
Did he exhibit social behaviors in that video at Greyhound that you saw between him and Gypsy? I'm interested.
That's true. Because you could see where they got in and out of the cab and would walk in and walk to the way. He would hold the door for her. When they walked by on the sidewalk, he was leading, she was following.
Oh, hello.
It looked very normal.
Is that you, Fancy?
You had the opportunity to watch the interview that defendant with Detective Mahola.
Yes, I did.
Any observations about his eye contact with her?
From the way I looked at it, I mean, what appeared to me is that he had reasonable eye contact given the stressful environment, the stressful situation. I didn't see that as being particularly abnormal. Oh,
I'd like to talk about the testing you did, so.
yes.
Why do you engage in psychological testing?
Just want to pause it for a second. This is Good Wives Network has just popped into chat. Fancy, if that's you, it is Fancy. Oh, hello. Good to have you here. Okay, so Fancy is somebody who has been quite vocal on social media and for quite a while, actually. Has had contact with the family over the years, Gypsy's family.
Oh.
And yes, hello. And I actually would really like to get Fancy onto this channel. I'll advertise that quite significantly. I'll promote it significantly, make sure that we make that a big day here on the channel, and let everybody know that that Fancy is here that day, because I'd like to give Fancy a platform to talk to a different audience. Here at Fancy, what we do is we have lawyers come on here quite often to talk about different things, usually trials. So that's why we're watching a trial today. But we are going to have, we're going to have a lawyer come on next week and talk about the appeal by Nick and go through the appeal document. So we're just leading up to that. So obviously we're almost finished the coverage of the trial, Fancy, and we're going to be going through his appeal document and looking at his chances of potentially getting his appeal, the possibility of his appeal being successful. Now, you'd love to come on. Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. So we'll try, I'll DM you, Fancy, and we'll organize a time for that to happen. And I'll make sure that we do it when we have like a good sort of 1 to 2 hour block, and we can hear all about your background, because I know that you have some documentation up on your Facebook page, and there's quite a fair bit of information there. I want to get myself right across that, and I also want to be able to present it to our audience here in such a way that it's able to be consumed in a sort of digestible way. There's a lot of info there, but also I want everyone to be able to hear your side of your story, and your assessment of Gypsy Rose's background and the family's background, and how her involvement with Nick impacted his life, and why
potentially she had a little bit more to do with her mother's unaliving than the media portrays. So we're very interested here. We feel that Nick Godejohn potentially he's not the monster portrayed by the media.
Yeah.
And we're really been digging into that a lot. We're very much here ones that like to look at whether defendants got or are getting or did get a fair trial. And it's not really looking quite that way to us. We went in completely with a nothing view.
Yeah.
So Dali, didn't we?
I knew nothing about it when we started covering it. So
it's a bit low. Can you speak up?
I knew nothing about it when we started covering this.
Yes.
I never even really, I'd heard the name, but I knew nothing about it. Oops, sorry, my cat was caught on my mic. No, I knew absolutely nothing about this case. I had no opinion. I'd heard the name before, looking for a different trial. That was the only reason I knew the name, but I'd never seen it, knew what it was about. And then I just kind of really got annoyed for how he's been treated.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. So once again, Fancy is here from Good Wives Network, someone who's known the family for quite a long time and has been reporting on this quite extensively recently. And thank you very much for coming into chat. And I can't wait to organize an interview with you. So looking forward to getting into the organization of that with you, and we'll be promoting that widely. Thank you, and we will be chatting with you guys. Welcome, Fancy from Good Wives.
Nice to see you.
Well, it's one of the boxes, right? This is the easy answer. It's another box. It's more objective. I can talk with somebody and say, wow, this person seems really, really sharp, or this person doesn't seem quite as sharp as they should be. That's my own internal sense of where things lie. If I give objective psychological testing,
tell everybody.
then I can see how the person performs, and I can compare those scores to norms of the population. I can say, okay, not only do I feel like this person is functioning at this level, but these tests can identify strengths and weaknesses relative to the normal population in other areas that are much finer and more detailed than I can pick up just talking with or doing some non-formal sort of procedures with it. So I use structured objective tests. Plus, the key there is they're objective. They're not going to be biased.
This is why I'm very happy about
this.
Fancy does know everything about this.
The data
much more than we can find out from any documentary.
How do you choose what tests to get?
But this is a win, guys, for the channel and for all of us. Very exciting.
There was a
exciting
record
news.
With the presumed conclusion that he had some condition inside the autism spectrum. And so I went in thinking that might very well be the case. And if that's the case, it's
if we have any mods here, you can get
cognitive
Fancy's
strengths
channel
the person
up to
has
link.
and
That would be
cognitive
great.
weaknesses the person has.
I'll try.
Because there are differences. Just because you have this label, umbrella label, doesn't mean it's all the same. Everybody's different. And I wanted to measure his focused attention, concentration, speed of mental processing. I wanted to measure his learning and memory, how well he learns new things verbally, how well he learns things visually. And then I also wanted to measure his executive function. That is his problem solving, mental flexibility, abstract reasoning, both verbal and nonverbal.
Hey, John,
And
how's it going? I
wanted
don't
to
know what
measure
you're
some
talking about.
academic functioning, like reading, writing, arithmetic. And of course, I wanted to include tests that would give me IQ scores as well.
Let's talk about IQ testing a little bit, if you would. I just sort of get that full-scale IQ score, and that's the be-all, end-all of what your intellectual functioning is, or does it work somehow differently?
It can be the end-all be-all in some cases, although it's probably short-sighted to consider it that way. Because as you know, somebody with a very high IQ may have a stellar functional life and do brilliant things. Or somebody with a very high IQ may still be making coffee at Starbucks. There's more to it than just an IQ number. But that IQ number can be a good summary of a person's overall cognitive function if each of the areas inside that basket of cognition, attention, concentration, learning, memory, abstract breathing, all those things, are all relatively uniform. Okay? Because the IQ score is like an average in a way. It combines all of this together into one summary indicator. But if you've got big differences inside the basket between real good strengths and really, really poor strengths, poor weaknesses, then one summary indicator is not a very good summary of that person. And so you have to look at the strengths and weaknesses. And there's some rules that will guide us as to what makes a good summary indicator and what does not.
Is it unusual for someone on the autism spectrum to have that difference in the different parts of the IQ test?
Actually, that's very, very common. There's repeated research that demonstrates that individuals in the autism spectrum have striking strengths and weaknesses, and oftentimes they fall in the same patterns, which is what we would expect. For example, with Asperger's, a mild form of autism, the difficulties are in language function, right? Actually, the difficulty is not in language function so much. In autism, the language is delayed, right? In classic autism. In the Asperger's mild form of it, their language is strong. It's their nonverbal interaction and the nonverbal problem solving that tends to be worse. And that comes across in the IQ tests, where you'll see a very strong language index, like a verbal comprehension index, and a very weak speed of mental processing, for example, where it measures how fast the brain processes information. It's such a common pattern that there's research, like even in 2016, in the Journal of Autism and Neurodevelopmental Disabilities, where it says you should look at the indices in IQ testing with people with autism spectrum, because you're going to see this split. That's the way it comes out, and you should not rely on the overall IQ summary, because it's not a good indicator of their genuine intelligence, because they'll be very slow in speed of mental processing, because almost all of them are. That's just a common.
Basically, he's an idiot. He can't.
You heard a little bit about where someone would fall in terms of percentiles based on these tests. Is there something that would be helpful to you to kind of demonstrate to the jury where these scores fall against norms in our?
Yes, actually, because I've heard quite a bit of talk about percentiles, and percentiles are different than percent correct. It's very different, and people oftentimes get confused with the nature of percentiles. So it's all based upon a bell-shaped curve. Okay, IQ is a bell-shaped curve. Our other cognitive functions like concentration, learning, memory are all bell-shaped curve. And so we can see what it looks like to be in the normal range and what's in the abnormally high range and the abnormally low range.
Let me show you what I marked this base exhibit 184. You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Is that something you think that would assist you in explaining this to the jury?
Yes.
Would it assist you?
In general, what is it?
It's the bell-shaped curve with the IQ
Explaining
scores
this to the
placed on it.
jury?
Base exhibit 184 is a demonstrative exhibit.
No objection.
Like I'm a valley girl. I talk like this. Gag me with a spoon.
As if.
Oh my god. She's so grody.
So if you would just briefly explain what we're looking at and how it relates to.
Oh my god.
Let me pull that
This
up.
looks like a dick.
There it is.
Oh my god, this is like a D large.
It looks like the scene that Jody
Judge, but he's got
behind
that, so he's-
Thank you.
in the hallway.
Point
Oh,
two.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
His house looked like a dick.
Okay, so
Yeah,
this
me with
is
a
the bell-shaped
spoon.
curve. And the way this works, these are IQ scores along the bottom. Okay. And the height of the curve is, as you see, frequency in the population. These are norms, okay? It's the normal population. It's the average population. It's the typical population, right?
Sorry,
For
that was
IQ. And this is the way it comes out year after year. What we have is with IQ scores, we all know what IQ of 100 is average, right? That's the average. Well, this is what it means. It's the average. It's the most common score.
That's 5 inches.
And all of the scores cluster around that score, okay? And so then the professionals have looked at this and said, okay, well, let's try to define what is average, what is above average, and what is below average.
Yes,
Okay?
distant. This chart is
And they
Jewish.
basically said, we're going to
I think
classify
Jensen already covered this.
in broad terms, average is within one standard deviation. Okay, without boring you too much, a
There's
standard
some
deviation
deviation there.
basically is the average
Oh my
difference
God.
from the
His
mean.
penis is
Okay.
circumcised.
The average of the differences. And so one standard deviation with an IQ test in this direction going higher on the scale is up to 115. Okay, well, one standard deviation going lower than the mean of 100 is 85 because the standard deviation in an IQ test is 15. Does that make sense? So within this band of one standard deviation, we have 68% of the population falls in that range. In other words, for IQs, 68% of the general population, their IQ falls within one standard deviation, either above or below. That's called average, okay? Now, the classifications get sliced up a little bit different here and there, and I'm on a panel, actually, that was seated.
There's not a question.
I'm sorry.
Prosecutor wants to ask a question. I would ask you to do so. Just to let
I
me
did
talk.
ask you to orient us to the chart, which I think he's doing, but I think.
Disclaimer, you're going to be so happy with
So, for example, we heard something about like if I were in the 16th percentile, sounds really low. I'm thinking in terms of 90A,
Prosecutor wants to
80B,
ask, do
70C,
you
right?
ejaculate?
Where would I be on the bell curve if I were at the 16th percentile?
The 16th percentile is right here at 85.
Reach around.
Because from 100 down to 85, one standard deviation, there's actually 34% of the population falls in this
Sir,
range.
stop touching the
And
tip.
34% from 50%, which is
Do you
50% here,
ejaculate?
right? 50% of the population below, 50% of the population above.
Do you
That
ejaculate?
brings you down to this line right here, and this is the 16th percentile. So if you notice, 14% fall here,
Reach around.
2% fall here, and a little bitty fraction falls there. And so basically 16% falls down here. So if I had a score that was at the 16th percentile,
That's a nice bell curve.
my score falls right here.
That's a decent
regarding IQ, I'm as bright as 16% of the population, or as bright or brighter than 16% of the population.
And
But
consider
there's more
average.
that is brighter than I am.
There
But
are
it's still
none.
considered average. You consider it low average.
You shoot them
Or do you
blind.
consider scores in the blue area to the left?
Right here. Okay.
I know.
These are what would be called, well, see, here's where I was starting to say it depends on the classification system. Basically, this is with IQ
Sir,
scores,
whoa,
typically
sir,
they
your
call,
fingers.
and
Wow.
I'm sorry, it gets confusing.
This guy knows where to find the
He
button.
asked what it was. He was not talking about something else. I would ask the way you
Yeah, he's
answer
like
your
all,
question, the prosecutor asked, not what he was talking about.
God, this guy's about to give this a minivan.
Could you explain what the blue area means?
Yes, the classification for this area includes below average and borderline classifications.
Tell us what you mean by that. How are those two things different? Below average and borderline.
Well, some classifications overlap on this line, and they call it below average. This area here, they're classically called borderline.
Whoa, sir.
It's
like
not
your hand
truly
moving.
impaired, but it's well below typical.
And where would something consistent with the intellectual disability fall?
Intellectual disability, or what was formerly known as mental retardation,
Oh, no, you said it.
an IQ of 70 or below. although there's some
Oh no.
flexibility around that.
Oh.
You had the opportunity to listen to Dr. Frank's school.
Presently.
You might go ahead and. Did it find any issues with his analysis of the IQ score?
Do you ejaculate?
He relied on the full-scale IQ summary indicator when he really should not have.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yes, there's clear guidance that when we interpret IQ testing, that we look at the amount of scatter
Yes, so
in
right.
the indexes underneath the test, the verbal comprehension index, perceptual reasoning index, working memory,
That on.
processing speed, things like that. And if there's too much deviation, too much variability in those scores, then this is not a good summary indicator. There's another summary indicator you should use
I like
instead,
that.
which gives us a better
That's
overall assessment of what this
Yeah.
person's intellectual
He's doing what
ability
Dee or Gypsy did.
And what is that measure?
the general ability index.
Can you explain what that
Yes, it's a measure of intelligence,
David Live, yeah?
but without
Never,
the
ever
speed
clip
of
that.
mental processing or what's called working
You have
memory.
to say never ever clip that. There's a
in it.
problem.
And so it gives you a more robust picture of the balance between
Ooh,
um,
now he's like trying to
Visual
cup their testicles.
thinking skills and
Yeah.
verbal
You
thinking
gotta hold
skills. And it combines those two
Okay.
without the effect of the very slow processing speed. And it gives you a better sense of what the IQ should be, but for that very slow processing speed.
Now he's going
Okie
down.
dokie. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. So, guys, what I need to show you again, and I'm sorry about the size of this.
Do you ejaculate?
Well, looks like someone did.
Oh, Jesus H. fucking Christ.
Are you
Okay.
happy, X-Coma?
I don't get paid enough for this shit.
No, you really don't. Look, none of us do. We do this for the love. We do this for the love. For the love. How good is it? I'm so proud of that. I am legitimately so proud of that drip. That drip is amazing. It's great.
That's a good drip right down to the spot on the dress.
Freaking great drip, hey? Yeah.
You can follow it right to the scene of the crime.
You could.
God
Twins.
damn it, Bill Clinton.
Well, it's actually Pam. Like, if you have a look at it, it's clear and it's got
is a
like a
little-
little tint of yellow to it.
It is a little
like,
translucent,
It is translucent.
as it should
I
be.
actually found a drip of blood and I changed its color and consistency. How good's that, hey? This is what I trained for all my life, to be able to do that. That, people. And for $10 US even.
I mean, you could
Hey?
you could have used the cover of Load by Metallica.
Oh, Jesus H. Christ.
Spitters are quitters. You're right there. You're right there. I'm so disappointed in you, Sal. I know, right? He should have kept it all in. Okay, guys, we're going to redirect over to David. He is doing a what do you call it? Turtle Boy stream.
Tell him
And
Mr. and
loves
Mrs.
his
Sex
turtles.
sent you. And can
No.
you get this fucking shit off the stream?
No. No. We're keeping it on there.
I'm not
You
even
have to-
getting the
You have
motorboat
to put your head
position.
around it like this. Like this. See? Dali, look. I'll stop it. Oh, why do I give you controls? Just put your head around it like this. Yeah, you go like this. Hey, see? Yeah. All right. So thank you everybody
Look,
for
I
being
turned my
here.
camera on.
We'll be back again tomorrow with more Gypsy Rose, and we're almost finished the trial. And then we're going to be looking at the appellate document,
I turned it off.
and we're going to have we're organizing to have
Do you ejaculate?
It's so awesome that Fancy is going to be coming onto our channel. It's so exciting. Yay! All this stuff is happening. Oh my God. Everyone say you and Dali right. Yay.
Well,
It's so exciting.
that's one of two options.
Bye.